Do you have any regrets about your 17-year-old youth? For actress Manir, it's the naive memories and relationships buried by time, but when an old MP3 player unexpectedly connects two dimensions, Manir not only has the chance to correct past mistakes, but it also inadvertently triggers dramatic changes in the present, especially her love for her old classmate. The story begins on a rainy night when actress Manir attends a class reunion after many years away. At this time, she is embroiled in a scandal related to the sudden death of actress Cassie. An anonymous person possesses a recording that could incriminate Manir for harming Cassie. He threatens to release this evidence to the public. Therefore, Manir decides to meet her old friend to see who wants to push her to the brink. But it turns out it was just a dream Manir had in 2007. She wakes up to the sound of her alarm clock. She hurriedly changed into her uniform to go to school. The little girl always kept the habit of recording her thoughts on her portable music player. Manir recounted that she had just dreamed of becoming a famous actress. She rushed to school and coincidentally encountered her classmate, Yu Ming, blocking her way. He calmly tied his shoelaces and quickly ran to make it to class on time. This unexpected action caused Manir to be detained for being late. In this critical moment, she pretended to be Yu Ming from the 13th grade experimental class. Fortunately, Manir's best friend and classmate, Xiaoying, used her position to get her out of trouble. When Manir entered the classroom and met her friends, she shuddered as she remembered the strange dream from the night before. She quickly told her best friend, Yu Mei, that she had dreamed someone wanted to harm her, but in return, she had achieved her dream of becoming famous. Just then, her music player signaled that a new recording had been saved. From the music player came a woman's voice, laughing mockingly at Manir's dreams. She guessed someone in the class had secretly recorded her, so Manir left a message asking for the person's identity. Unexpectedly, someone immediately replied. The person asked Manir if you could hear me. She introduced herself as Manir. Currently living in 2020, Manir in the future guessed that this magical music player had helped her contact the past. To prove her identity, Manir in the future recalled how, in high school, she had hidden her pocket money in the 24th book on the third shelf. Manir, in the past, remained suspicious, so she asked who her new homeroom teacher would be. Manir in the future said the new teacher's name was Miss Fang, who had been invited by the school to discipline the mischievous students in the lab. Just then, the new homeroom teacher entered the classroom and introduced herself as Fang. She declared that absolutely no student would be allowed to violate the rules. Manir was shocked that the earlier predictions had been absolutely accurate. Even during recess, Manir was still reeling from what had just happened. Yu Ming threw a milk carton over Manir's head and asked if she thought he was handsome. She intended to get revenge for him messing with her that morning. Suddenly, he noticed she was wearing matching clothes with him. She scolded him for imitating her style, so she made him button up his jacket completely. He teased her, saying he didn't know how to button it, and asked her to help. She warned that if anyone dared to tease again, she would cut ties with them. When she went down to the schoolyard to eat snacks, she saw a group of girls screaming at a newly appeared male heartthrob. He walked towards Manir and smiled slightly at her, but when the heartthrob yawned, she realized it was the chubby, sleepiest guy in her class, Yu Hao. The whole class gathered around, intently studying why Yu Hao had undergone such a dramatic transformation after the winter break. Yu Ming felt that Yu Hao had grown 10 centimeters taller. Manir carefully examined him, but still found Yu Hao nothing like the chubby boy who usually sat in front of her. Just then, Teacher Fang entered the classroom and made the 10 students who dared to accuse her stand up. She asked why they dared to hide their names to insult the teacher in the survey. Teacher Fang said she only saw one positive comment. She asked if it was from Manir. Manir quickly clarified that she absolutely did not praise the teacher. Teacher Fang was angry and decided to dismiss the class immediately. The naive students thought the school would hire someone else to teach, so they weren't worried. Teacher Fang revealed that the principal had originally wanted to abolish the experiment class because no teacher dared to take on the role. Fortunately, she returned to the school, which saved the group. If they didn't appreciate it, they should pack their bags and move to another class immediately. During a reunion in 2020, Manir suddenly had a terrible headache. She vaguely saw her memories shifting. She had to change classes and would no longer go to school or graduate with her close friends. When Manir returned to reality, she was surprised to see the class reunion suddenly disappear. She asked Yu Mei if they weren't gathered at Yu Mei's house. Yu Mei guessed Manir was dreaming because the lab class had disbanded long ago, so they rarely saw each other. At this moment, a new recording from the past appeared. Manir, from 2007, asked her teacher for help. She said that because she heard predictions that the new homeroom teacher was very scary, she instigated her friends to play a prank to drive the teacher away. Manir, in the modern era, made a wrong prediction that changed the future. But without the class reunion, she couldn't find the anonymous person who harmed her. She instructed Manir in the past to do everything she could to keep the lab class. She remembered receiving a blackmail recording before the reunion. It contained the words she had said at the class reunion several years ago. An anonymous caller demanded 10 million yuan from her. If she didn't pay, he threatened to post the recording online. If director Daichuan knew Manir was badmouthing him and had a relationship with Cassie, he certainly wouldn't give her the lead role. Soon after, Manir received her old music player. She listened to the recording of her dreams of becoming an actress and found it ridiculous. Unexpectedly, the player prompted her to save a new recording and asked who she was. Having acted in many time travel films, she quickly said she was living in 2020. She guessed the music player could communicate with the past. After hearing the instructions from the future, Manir in 2007 made her friends think of ways to appease their homeroom teacher. Some wanted to pour paint on her. Others tried to puncture her tires. Some simply wondered if the designer items the teacher was wearing were real or fake. Yu Ming waited for Manir outside the classroom and asked if she had figured out a way to deal with the situation. She said she was happy not to have to study with him anymore, but he said he had a way to keep the class going. She immediately pushed him against the wall and asked him what he was so ashamed of. She guessed that the only positive comment on the survey was written by him. He nervously admitted that he had praised the homeroom teacher, but he didn't understand why everyone was so enthusiastic about causing trouble. She also wondered why he, who considered himself the top student in the natural science track, had to follow her to this social science class. Yu Ming thought he was so smart that he just needed to go somewhere where it was easy to tease Manir. She tried to suppress her anger to hear the top student's method of keeping the class going. Yu Ming made Manir coax him before he would tell her. When they entered the lab, Teacher Fang urged the students to disperse. Just then, the school's loudspeaker signaled the start of the experiment. The whole class suddenly started playing music in rhythm and singing along to the cheerful melody. Manir said over the loudspeaker that their class was like a special school in a novel. It was the only place that accepted children expelled for mischief. They were originally eccentric, but gradually changed thanks to the school's love and care. Manir, representing the class, apologized for not being able to grow into ideal students. After the recent incident, they realized they had taken advantage of their teacher's tolerance to continue causing trouble. Finally, she loudly apologized to Teacher Fang. Teacher Fang, moved, agreed to continue as the class's homeroom teacher for the experiment. When Yu Ming arrived at the broadcasting room, he was stunned to see Manir shining in the gentle sunlight. She asked if the plan had succeeded. If it failed, he would tell her slowly. She looked at his bright smile and happily hugged him. He awkwardly complimented her essay, saying it wasn't bad. She revealed that someone had taught her how to write, but now she had to get revenge on him first. She tried to step on his foot, but unexpectedly slipped on her shoelace and fell. Quickly caught her, but didn't forget to protect the microphone. He feared that the prospect of them falling into the loudspeaker would lead the whole world to believe they were in love. She argued that there could be no embarrassing words between them. He turned on the loudspeaker, challenging her to speak. She yelled at him to get out. Sure enough, her angry outburst over the loudspeaker caused the whole school to misunderstand their relationship. When Manir got home, she reported into the voice recorder that she had kept the lab class. Manir, in the future, said the class reunion had been restored as before. Just then, a hand wrapped around her waist. Startled, she grabbed a pillow and hit the pervert repeatedly. Unexpectedly, Yu Ming woke up and asked Manir what was wrong. He asked if she was going to sleep. She looked at him calmly as he climbed into bed, even wearing matching clothes with her. He suddenly sat up and hugged her tightly. He asked if she was in the mood to play with strangers with him. It was the first time she had seen him so close that it was breathtaking, and her heart felt like it was going to leap out of her chest. She frantically pushed him away, leaving him stunned and confused. He pressed her for what she wanted to do. He sulkily stormed into the bathroom. She quickly grabbed the voice recorder and asked her past self what had happened with Yu Ming. Manir from the past recounted that she had only met Yu Ming in the broadcasting room. Manir from the future began updating her memories. She didn't expect that such a small change could alter her single status. She reminded her past self not to overstep any boundaries before thoroughly investigating the voice recorder camcorder's mechanism. Manir from the past wondered if she would get a role in the school's promotional film. Manir from the future watched the old video and remembered that she had only played a supporting role that year. But she discovered the director was Dai Chuan. She reminded her past self to make a big fuss to win the lead role. When she went down to the living room to watch a celebrity interview program, she discovered how to become the lead actress. She informed her two best friends that she needed to find a male lead. Because famous actors often audition with friends before being noticed by the director, she decided not to audition herself, but to simply follow a sufficiently attractive partner. Yu Mei thought that after Yu Hao lost weight, he would have the look of a male lead in an idol drama. Xiao Ying worried that Yu Hao's handsomeness would steal all the director's attention. Manir decided she needed a backup plan. On the soccer field, Manir looked at the young man full of youthful energy, but he couldn't overshadow her beauty. Yu Ming noticed Manir watching him and immediately left the field. Manir rushed to stop Yu Ming. He apologized for not recognizing her in the vast crowd. She guessed he had used up all his nutrients to develop his body, so his brain was a bit small. Therefore, she offered to give him some brain-boosting treatment. He glanced back to see if the sun had risen in the west but still accepted the bribe. He asked her what she wanted from him. She asked if he had signed up for a film at the art festival. He said he wasn't interested because he needed to focus on his basketball club. She explained that he didn't need to act, he just needed to take her to the audition. He told her to find some of the male classmates who were actively acting in films. She said she didn't like following others and only wanted Yu Ming. He was flustered and quickly drank some water to calm himself down. Manir deliberately complimented Yu Hao, saying he was more handsome than Yu Ming. Sure enough, Yu Ming fell for the trap and agreed to take Manir to the audition. When Manir lined up to register, she waited and waited, but Yu Hao didn't show up. She had to implement her backup plan earlier than planned. Manir said she wasn't auditioning but was just going in with her best friend. She didn't forget to strike poses everywhere so that the director's people would notice her. Yu Ming wondered if Manir wasn't auditioning, so did she want to be his henchman? She clarified that she was his guardian. She told him to call her dad. Unexpectedly, Yu Ming replied, "Thank you, my good girl." Just then, the director called Yu Ming onto the stage. Manir immediately followed him. She saw Yu Hao dozing off in the audience seats. The director wondered why another contestant had appeared. Manir explained that Yu Ming was afraid to go on stage, so he asked her to help. Dai Chuan praised Yu Ming's trick as quite impressive, but to stand in front of the camera, he had to be braver. Seeing Manir's sharp gaze, Yu Ming quickly asked the director to allow her to cooperate with him. Dai Chuan then asked Yu Hao to go on stage to help Yu Ming. Manir shyly sat next to the director. She kept posing, trying to attract Dai Chuan's attention. However, Dai Chuan didn't even look at Manir, instead praising the two boys for creating a youthful feeling. Manir angrily went outside, blaming her future self for deceiving her. If the director didn't even glance at her, how could she possibly get the lead female role? Just then, Yu Hao came out to report that Dai Chuan had called Manir back for an interview. He was very impressed with her bowing and hair-flipping gesture. When Manir arrived at the rehearsal room, she heard the director say he was casting for a non-speaking role. He needed everyone to laugh to express the joy of life. Seeing the director praising her co-star's ridiculous antics, Manir stood up, tossed her hair, and burst into laughter. Sure enough, she was chosen for the non-speaking, supporting role. Manir took the opportunity to ask Dai Chuan for his feedback on her acting. He said she was just forcing a smile and not conveying any emotion. Dai Chuan recalled that when Manir auditioned, she had laughed naturally, as if she'd won the lottery. She assured him she would do better in the next take. However, the director only filmed once and scheduled a meeting with everyone for the next day's shoot. Manir felt she hadn't acted well enough, so she asked the director to redo the scene. Dai Chuan said it was getting dark and they had to film a different scene the next day. Moreover, a public service film didn't need to be perfect. Manir remembered the director constantly reminding them that they were filming a real movie, so shouldn't they do it perfectly? Yu Hao and Yu Ming both agreed to reshoot the scene. Dai Chuan said they would reshoot the smiling scene the next day after finishing work early. The director indulged Manir's request. However, she still only managed a forced smile. The corners of her mouth curved upwards, but tears welled up in her eyes. She was afraid her friends would think she was was useless. Even future Manir found the dream of becoming an actress ridiculous. Unexpectedly, Daichuan quickly asked the cameraman to focus on following Manir's emotions. A smile brimming with tears was the most sincere expression of someone reminiscing about their youth. Manir thought she had messed up again, so she quickly asked for one last take. But Daichuan praised Manir for being very natural. It had been a long time since he had met someone so willing to immerse themselves in a small role like her. Later, Daichuan hoped to have the opportunity to work with Manir again. After school, Yuming praised her, saying she deserved an Oscar for crying. In 2020, Manir discovered an audio recording on Yuming's computer. She wondered if he was trying to harm her. Manir remembered competing with Cassie for the lead female role in director Daichuan's new film. Netizens speculated that Cassie would win because Manir hadn't acted in 3 years. However, Manir decided to seize her last chance. Just then, she received an audio recording from her past saying she had just acted in a small non-speaking role. Manir in the future rewatched the old recording. She acknowledged that her past self had acted very well. In a 2007 lab class, some students were secretly admiring handsome boys, while others were dozing off at their desks. Teacher Fang announced that the physical education teacher was sick, so the next class would be a self-study period. She reminded the students that the college entrance exam would determine their future, so they should diligently practice for the exam, or they would regret it later. Yuming thought the college entrance exam wasn't important. Manir thought that being with someone like Yuming would probably ruin her entire life. She invited her close friends to go shopping. Just then, Miss Fang walked in and announced that the class could choose their vocational subjects for the following week. During recess, Xiaoying suggested to her best friend that they learn embroidery because she had loved watching her mother sew since she was a child. Manir and Yu Mei didn't like it, but they couldn't bring themselves to refuse. Xiaoying went back to class and saw that Yu Hao was very popular with his classmates. Manir shared her experience of being a celebrity with him. She taught him how to say no to others, then snatched his can of Coca-Cola. Yu Hao asked Xiaoying which vocational subject she wanted to enroll in. She said she invited Manir to join the embroidery class. Then it was Yu Ming's turn to ask Xiaoying. She urged him to ask Manir directly. In 2020, Manir met Yu Hao again after many years. He heard that she was about to participate in a film by Daichuan. Seeing that he still remembered director Daichuan, she asked him about a time when she had drunk a little too much alcohol at a gathering, and mentioned the director. Yu Hao said that since coming to Korea, he had never attended a class reunion. Manir breathed a sigh of relief that the anonymous person wasn't Yu Hao. She followed Yuming upstairs and asked him what he was busy with. He felt like she had become a different person, suddenly showing interest in his work. He pulled her into his arms and let her see freely. She was flustered and tried to pull away, but he wouldn't let her. He was sure she was hiding something, because she had previously dug up his messages with his boss. She explained that she was learning to respect him. Yu Mei suddenly burst in, urging Manir to check the news. The newspapers all claimed Cassie's death was due to rumors with director Daichuan. Manir rushed into the bathroom to calm herself down. She had accidentally revealed Cassie's affair with Daichuan at the class reunion. But Cassie wasn't the type to do something reckless over trivial matters. Just then, the anonymous person messaged Manir asking if she was satisfied with the news. Terrified, she reminded herself that she should never have become an actress in the past. In 2007, Yu Ming snatched Manir's school bag. He used the excuse of strengthening his arm muscles to carry it for her, but she suspected he had a strange fetish. He considered himself too handsome, so he used a purple backpack to make girls give up pursuing him. Just then, Manir was looking at an acting audition and immediately rushed to snatch the bag back. When Yu Ming heard Manir wanted her wallet, he suddenly let go, causing her to fall to the ground. He waited until she went into the convenience store before secretly looking at her vocational school registration form. Unexpectedly, she came out so quickly that he panicked and tore the zipper off her bag. He threw the bag back at her and ran away as fast as he could. Seeing the broken zipper, she cursed him, calling him a scoundrel. When she got home, Manir learned acting through movies. Her music player showed a notification for a new recording. Manir in the future advised her absolutely not to become an actress, but she said she would try a new role. Manir in the future remembered that she had never participated in auditions outside of school during her student years. She warned that the entertainment industry was very complicated, not for naive young girls. But Manir, in her past, believed she had to decide her own path. Because many students enrolled in embroidery classes, teacher Fang pushed all the boys into the photography class. In the embroidery class, Manir wanted to try a new acting role. She secretly sneaked out and told Yu Mei to keep an eye on the teacher. Unexpectedly, Yu Hao was sitting outside the gate. He took the opportunity to ask her to be his model. He remembered that when he returned from Korea as a child, she had heard her teacher patiently teach him Chinese. Those peaceful moments made him feel sleepy. She pretended to go to the restroom but tripped and fell into him. She felt a little nervous in front of his handsome face in the sunlight. She quickly grabbed her bag and ran away. She tried to climb over the wall to get out. She slipped, but luckily he caught her in time. She said she had to try the role and would repay him when she returned. When the director read Manir's application, he criticized her for lacking acting experience. However, the photographer said he would try to make her more attractive. In return, she had to pay 800 yuan for the modeling photo shoot. Manir said that as a student, she only had 300 yuan left for pocket money for the whole month. The director told her to pawn her phone so she could go home and ask for more money. Back at her embroidery class, Manir asked two friends for money. Her friend, Jing Ye, hired Manir to do her homework for a week. Yu Mei only needed Manir to finish the embroidery so she could focus on admiring the male lead. After receiving the money, Manir learned that Yu Mei had chosen to embroider a landscape painting. Jing Ye reminded Manir not to forget they were sponsoring her dream. For a whole week, Manir was busy with her homework and embroidery. She also had to find time to do her makeup for Yu Hao's modeling gigs. But nothing could stop her. Sometimes, under the gentle spring breeze, Manir felt relieved as she gazed at Yu Hao's sleeping face. When she met the director, Manir paid the remaining amount. The director told her to sign the contract but didn't write her real name. Manir demanded her phone back, but he insisted she sign the contract first. Manir said she wanted to act in films, not become a social media celebrity as stipulated in the contract. The director said the new trend should start with pretty girls on the internet and then become actresses. Manir noticed photographer Ju Li suddenly giving a warning signal, so she made up an excuse about needing to use the restroom. Sure enough, Ju Li urged Manir to leave this godforsaken place quickly. He had vaguely signed a contract without realizing it was a contract of servitude. Manir asked how many people they had scammed. Julie recalled that everyone ran away as soon as they heard the money had to be paid. Only Manir returned. Manir borrowed a recording device and went to see the director to expose the scammers. She examined the contract, questioning the 50-50th split, while the penalty for breach of contract was 10 million yuan. She jokingly guessed that the director intended to be responsible for her for life through this absurd contract. Yu Hao noticed Manir had left her recording device behind and brought it back, but she still hadn't returned. He remembered that she had left at 9 in the morning and 5 hours had passed. When Yu Ming heard that Manir had to pay for a photo shoot for the audition, he immediately questioned his best friend. Yu Hao admitted that he had helped Manir climb over the wall to get to the audition after school. Yu Hao said he couldn't stop her. As long as Manir was happy, that was all that mattered. Yu Ming asked what good happiness would do if Manir was in danger. Seeing the tense situation, Xiaoying told them to calm down and quickly rescue Manir. When they arrived at the acting center, Yu Ming mocked Manir for being foolish for believing the scammers. He reluctantly agreed to disguise himself as a girl to sneak inside and find Manir. The whole group admired Yu Ming's courage and self-sacrifice for his friend. They told him to shout loudly if anything happened. When he met the director, Yu Ming expressed his burning dream of becoming an actor. Sure enough, the director made Yu Ming pay 800 yuan for a photo shoot. Yu Ming said he didn't have any money, so he asked permission to perform a talent show first to convince the director. Seeing her enthusiasm, the director urged Yu Ming to change into a fringed dress. Yu Ming obediently complied, actively swaying her hips seductively to distract him. Unexpectedly, the director ordered Yu Ming's arrest. This villain's intelligence was anything but ordinary. It turned out that an hour earlier, the director had discovered Manir secretly recording their conversation. He had her arrested and locked in a room. Then Yu Ming suffered the same fate. When Manir mocked his appearance, Yu Ming retorted, saying he came to rescue her because he was meddling in other people's affairs. rumors. Outside, his friends heard Manir's screams and rushed in to rescue her. While Yuming was quickly untying Manir, he noticed the room door was locked, so he took off his jacket and covered her head with it. He reassured her not to worry, that everything would be over. Soon, he exerted all his strength to break down the door. Unexpectedly, Julie, who was outside, opened the door and rescued Manir. She called Yuming useless and ran out alone. Manir went outside and demanded that the director return her phone. Just then, Yu Hao arrived with the teacher and the police. He bravely grabbed the director and rescued the two girls safely. For a brief moment, Xiao Ying's heart fluttered for Yu Hao. Manir helped Yuming up, and together they led the girls outside. Yu Hao returned the recording device to Manir. Just then, drowsiness overwhelmed her. Yuming quickly moved Yu Hao aside to prevent him from leaning his head on Manir's shoulder. On the way home, Manir still regretted not being able to fulfill her dream of becoming an actress. Jingye shared his dream of becoming a local police officer. At that moment, photographer Julie ran up and thanked Manir for helping him escape from the scammers. He really hoped to have the opportunity to be her manager someday. The innocent 17-year-olds were a complete contrast to the calculating nature of adulthood. Manir, in her current state, didn't know which of her old friends was plotting against her. The storm raging inside her was like the tempest howling outside. Just then, her manager called, showing more concern for Manir than usual. She suddenly had a flashback. It turned out she had known and helped Julie in the past. He was now her manager, helping her investigate the cause of Cassie's sudden death. As Manir sat around the class reunion table, she saw Jingye secretly using his phone. She asked him who he had been texting. He confessed that he was replying to an email from his ex-wife. Yuming criticized Jingye for secretly getting married while he remained single like everyone else. Manir turned to Yuming and asked if they had been involved in something in the past. She looked at his naive expression and guessed that the past had changed once again. In 2007, Yuming was angry with Manir because he received a picture of her being intimate with Yu Hao. Back home, Manir received a new recording from the future. Manir from the future asked why she wasn't dating Yuming anymore. She explained that she hadn't done anything wrong and that Yuming's mind was the problem. At school in 2007, Yuming kept sneezing for no apparent reason. He discovered that the school forum was buzzing with discussions about the picture of Manir hugging Yu Hao. Yuming immediately commented. Unexpectedly, netizens guessed that this account secretly liked Manir. That comment touched Yuming's deepest feelings. He remembered Manir's radiant face in the afternoon sun. He remembered the moment he cradled her head. The next day at school, Manir saw everyone staring at her. Jingye said everyone knew about Manir's secret love affair. She thought they were referring to Yuming, so she quickly explained to her two best friends. Unexpectedly, she's embroiled in dating rumors with Yu Hao. Yumei couldn't believe. Manir dared to harbor improper thoughts about the handsome Yu Hao. On the soccer field, Yuming confronts his friend Leng Yang for stealing a photo from his book. He orders the friend to immediately delete the online post. Leng Yang wonders if Yuming likes Manir. Yuming declares that if so, he'd willingly rebuild the building for his best friend. At this point, Yu Hao apologizes for causing Manir trouble. She says she's going to become an actress, so she needs to get used to rumors. Yu Hao gently strokes Manir's hair as she eats ice cream. Their friends below are certain they're dating. Yu Hao says his father is forcing him to return to Korea if he doesn't make it into the top 100 in the upcoming exam, so he asks her to tutor him, in exchange for 5 packets of dried beef jerky every day. On the soccer field, Yuming feels uneasy seeing Manir happily with Yu Hao. Jingye threw a ball to disrupt them, helping her friend vent her anger. Manir angrily ran down to the field, demanding that Leng Yang return the original photo to her. Yuming remembered that he had taken the photo. He wondered how it had been attributed to Manir. She asked him if he had taken the photo without permission, causing the whole school to spread false rumors. Yuming demanded that Manir explain what had happened when the photo was taken. Manir thought she didn't need to explain to him. The next day, the whole school stared at Manir again. She went to ask Yumei, and learned that a forum post claimed she and Yuming were actually a couple. Just then, Teacher Fang entered the classroom and asked Manir to form study groups. While handing out the test papers, Manir secretly sent a message to Yuming, arranging a meeting at their usual spot to clarify things. At the broadcasting room, Yuming praised Manir's boldness, saying that the most dangerous place was actually the safest. Manir asked why Yuming always targeted her. She knew that since childhood, he had always liked to monopolize glory, but he shouldn't involve others. Yuming countered by asking Manir if he was involving her. He said that when the rumors about Yu Hao broke out, she was still children still cheerful and laughing. Perhaps she just hated being involved in rumors with him. Manir asserted that whether in the past or the future, she hated selfish and arrogant people. Back home, Manir wrote a statement clarifying her relationship with Yu Ming. She said they were just normal classmates, even if they had a little disagreement. Therefore, she asked everyone not to spread baseless rumors because she didn't care about Yu Ming at all. However, little did she know that in the future, in 2020, Manir was longing for the moments she spent with Yu Ming. She wondered why she was still clinging to those fleeting moments. Just then, Yu Mei urged Manir to quickly correct the rumors because netizens believed she had harmed Cassie to get the role. Manir decided to use the rumors to persuade director Dai Chuan to choose her. The press conference announcing the female lead would trend on social media, making the drama even more popular. But Manir felt nauseated by the lies she had just uttered. She had persevered for years, so she couldn't lose it all at this moment. Unexpectedly, an anonymous message asked if she liked being trending on social media so much. Manir wished she hadn't chosen that disgusting path in the first place. Back in 2007, a female student named Wang Ran transferred to the lab. Teacher Fang told Yu Hao to sit at the back, but Manir thought he should sit at the front to avoid dozing off. Yu Ming thought the new student should sit in the front row. He even claimed he would help Yu Hao concentrate better. Yu Hao moved seats and accidentally stepped on Wang Ran's foot. She overreacted, offending the whole class. Just then, Manir received a recording from the future, reminding her to pay more attention to Yu Hao. While her classmates were reviewing, Manir vented her anger on the piece of cake in her mouth. She was sure Yu Ming was defending the new student to spite her. Yu Mei heard that Wang Ran was a distant relative of the homeroom teacher. Manir saw Yu Hao wiping his shoes on the table as if to say Yu Hao was dirty. Yu Ming casually remarked that he would react even more strongly if someone stepped on his shoes. Coincidentally, Wang Ran walked past Xiao Ying. She raised her voice to remind her friends to focus on their studies. Manir gave Yu Hao extra tutoring. Yu Mei noticed Yu Ming looking at them with sharp eyes, but she didn't know that Leng Yan was also watching her intently from afar. By the afternoon class, Yu Hao couldn't resist his sleepiness. Manir woke him up to review history. Seeing him yawn, she gave him a chocolate bar. Sure enough, after eating it, he felt much more awake. Outside the biology exam room, Manir was still diligently studying. Yu Ming walked past intending to encourage Manir. Unexpectedly, Yu Hao wished Manir good luck before him. She gave him a chocolate bar to prevent him from falling asleep in the exam room. Yu Ming was angry and called them childish. Finally, the biology exam ended, but Manir couldn't be happy because she couldn't answer many questions correctly. Yu Ming playfully teased her, wanting to compare answers with the class president, Ye. Manir chased him away, wanting to be alone. Yu Hao comforted Manir with lots of snacks. But the next day during physical education class, Yu Mei admitted that Yu Hao was more popular than Yu Ming. The girls all turned to gaze at Yu Hao with longing eyes. With her experience reading and writing novels, Yu Mei was sure that turning around was an opportunity to look at the object of her secret crush. After school, Yu Hao wanted to play basketball with the boys, but Manir suggested they go to the convenience store to buy ice cream. On the sports field, Yu Mei complained about the upcoming math exam. Manir saw her friends gathering and quickly ran down. The girls criticized Yu Ming for his declining performance, saying he missed the hoop 3 times. They even compared him to trash, saying he was rotten inside and made of gold. Manir angrily told them to compete themselves. Only when she saw Yu Ming score a basket did she breathe a sigh of relief. It turned out Yu Ming's vision was a little blurry, but he still saw Manir walking with another boy. In the math exam room, Yu Mei tossed the eraser to choose an answer. She threw the eraser forcefully to the floor, so she quickly asked Manir to pick it up for her. Manir tilted the desk and accidentally dropped a stack of books. She explained that the books weren't hers, but she was still sent to the office. Teacher Fang knew Yu Ming had bought biology reference books for Manir, but she thought that romantic relationships should wait until after the college entrance exams. Manir assured her that she would absolutely not care about Yu Ming before or after the college entrance exams. Teacher Fang asked a student to bring the grade sheet back to class. Manir was surprised that she passed biology. Back in class, Manir heard Yu Ming say she wasn't as pretty as Tianqi. She angrily said she didn't need his comments on her appearance. Yu Ming advised Manir to look in the mirror carefully and stop dreaming of becoming a star. She thought she was better than him, who was daydreaming in broad daylight. In professional basketball, if you make 3 shots and only score 1, don't be so stubborn and drag the whole class into this mess. Yu Ming admitted his eyesight was poor, but he could still distinguish between beautiful and ugly. He wished she would never appear on television again. Finally, summer vacation arrived, and Manir asked her 2 best friends if she was very ugly. Xiao Ying was surprised that Manir still cared about Yu Ming's criticism. Yu Mei thought, "It's my face, why should I worry about other people's opinions?" Although Manir cheered up, she still went to a cosmetic surgery clinic. Coincidentally, Yu Hao passed by and treated her to fried chicken. Manir asked Yu Hao who was the prettiest in the class. He replied that she was always the most beautiful in his heart. He announced that he had to fly back to Korea tomorrow. Manir assured him that she wouldn't forget Yu Hao after the vacation. Back home, Manir contacted her future self. She asked if appearance was too important in the entertainment industry. Future Manir thought that if she were a little prettier, she probably wouldn't be in this situation now. So she advised the past Manir to give up her dream of becoming an actress. Before going to the airport, Yu Hao told Manir that he had just created a social media account. He said they could chat about it later. He asked if she remembered him. She told him not to be cheesy because the vacation only lasted 2 months. Manir bent down to get a pen and accidentally dropped the voice recorder into Yu Hao's bag. Manir wrote down the account name and told Yu Hao to wait to see her new look. 2020. Manir received the new recording. The past Manir announced that the following Saturday was their big day. Just then, a strong wind blew, giving her a headache. Manir asked Yu Mei if she remembered what happened during the 2007 summer vacation. Xiao Ying said she couldn't forget, because Manir almost died then. Manir quickly searched her memories and realized she had been in an accident, but after falling into a coma, she couldn't remember why she was hit by a car. In 2007, Yu Hao returned to Korea to see his father. Hearing the alarm, his father immediately criticized him, saying he had no future. Yu Hao noticed the recording device vibrating continuously. Someone reminded Manir that she absolutely must not go out on Saturday. He responded, asking who was on the other end of the line. The future Manir recognized Yu Hao's voice. She begged him to give the recording device to Manir before Saturday. Otherwise, the 2007 Manir would be in danger. Yesterday, when Yu Hao met his father, he asked permission to return to China. He told him his best friend was in life-threatening danger. Yu Hao's father said he had scheduled a doctor to examine Yu Hao's sleepiness. Furthermore, he sent Yu Hao back to China only to cultivate a competitive spirit. But Yu Hao was becoming increasingly gentle and useless. Manir was so preoccupied with finding the recording device that she didn't read Yu Hao's pearl message. He then sent a warning message to Yu Mei, informing her that Manir was in danger. Yu Mei rushed to Manir's house, but she didn't read Yu Hao's message either. Yu Mei breathed a sigh of relief when she saw that Manir was safe and sound. She recounted how Yu Hao had asked her to keep an eye on Manir until the end of the next day. Manir asked Yu Mei if she was as beautiful as the actress in the drama Chinese Paladin. Yu Mei wondered why Manir had been comparing her appearance to others lately. Manir secretly remembered Yu Ming advising her to look in the mirror and not dream of becoming a star. Early the next morning, Yu Mei couldn't find Manir. Unable to make an international call, she texted Yu Hao. He urged her to quickly find Manir and absolutely not let her take the bus to the cosmetic surgery clinic. On the soccer field, Leng Yang received a call from Yu Mei. She asked him to find Manir on the bus to the cosmetic surgery clinic before 12:40 p.m. Yu Ming remembered there were 3 bus routes from Manir's house to the clinic. Yu Mei asked her friends to keep watch at each bus stop, but Yu Ming had already run off. Meanwhile, Yu Hao had fled back to China. The flight lasted 40 minutes, so he was still able to save Manir. He heard from Yu Mei that they still hadn't found Manir. Just then, he encountered a bus accident on the roadside. He heard people saying that one of the victims was a high school student, so he frantically contacted Manir. Unexpectedly, he heard her voice right behind him. He happily hugged her tightly. It turned out that as Manir was about to board the bus, a little girl unexpectedly gave her candy. The little girl relayed a message from a tall man saying that Manir was really beautiful. Manir thought Yu Hao was encouraging her, so she thanked him for the candy. Yu Hao returned the recording device and asked Manir if she was planning to have cosmetic surgery. She said she had just gotten rid of that thought. At that moment, Yu Mei arrived and scolded Yu Hao for deceiving everyone, causing them great worry. Yu Hao realized his mistake and treated his friends to watermelon to cool off. In 2020, Manir realized she was safe and sound. She questioned her 2 best friends, and they confirmed confirmed that they didn't remember her ever being in an accident. However, Manir was completely unaware that Yu Ming was the one who had secretly protected her. During the summer vacation, the group organized a picnic by the sea. Yu Ming knew Manir liked grilled sausages, so he secretly swapped his meal with hers. Manir was delighted, thinking she was lucky to have picked her favorite dish. Yu Ming intended to give Manir his chopsticks, but Yu Hao was quicker. Lang Yang suggested they practice basketball after dinner. On the court, Yu Ming still managed to make 1 out of 3 shots. Lang Yang worried that if Yu Ming didn't regain his form, the team would surely lose in the finals. But before the game, Jing Ye said they couldn't gather enough players because Yu Ming was busy studying for his college entrance exams. He didn't have time to play basketball. Manir heard that the provincial coach was recruiting players. She asked Yu Ming if he was going to give up his dream of becoming a professional player, but he insisted he had no such dream and wouldn't participate in the competition. In 2020, Manir sneaked into Yu Ming's room. Manir discovers someone sent Yu Ming a video of her pressuring director Dai Chuan to cast her as the female lead. Just as Yu Ming returns to his room, Manir quickly hides in the closet. Jing Ye sees Yu Ming hesitant to throw trash into the bin from a distance. Jing Ye wonders if he's blind. Yu Ming admits he has a refractive error of over 1.5 diopters. He can't see clearly at night, and sometimes even blurry during the day. Jing Ye realizes this is why Yu Ming gave up basketball. In 2007, Yu Ming went for an eye exam. The doctor diagnosed a significant difference in vision between his 2 eyes, making it difficult for him to accurately judge shooting direction when playing basketball. The doctor advised him to cover 1 eye to force the other to function, but it took him a long time to see results. Yu Ming fears the prospect of his classmates laughing at his pirate-like appearance. He fears failure and losing face in front of his rival. He would rather give up basketball than let that happen. Thanks to help from another class, Jing Ye and Leng Yang still registered to compete. They were looking forward to meeting some hero, but only class president Ye Zhe came to cheer. Yu Ming unexpectedly appeared, but he only joined the cheering group with the class president. Manir called the remaining player onto the court. That player was Yu Hao. The match was fierce between the 2 high school teams. The opposing team, fearing they would be caught up in points, secretly resorted to dirty tactics against Leng Yang. Yu Ming rushed onto the court to demand justice for his friend. The referee, seeing Leng Yang bleeding, ordered a substitute player to come onto the court. Jing Ye wanted revenge on the opposing team. He thought he had no chance of winning anymore. Manir deliberately reached out and accidentally hit Yu Ming in the eye. She pretended to be worried about his bleeding and quickly put a bandage on his eye. She knew he was injured, but he had to replace Leng Yang on the court. Manir had prepared a uniform shirt, making Yu Ming unable to hide his happy smile. At the start of the game, Yu Ming continuously scored baskets. He combined well with Yu Hao, leading the score far ahead of the opponent. However, during a collision, Yu Ming dropped the bandage from his eye. Yu Hao noticed that Yu Ming's eyes weren't swollen, so he threw the bandage away. Sure enough, using both eyes made it difficult for Yu Ming to see clearly. Hearing Manir's encouragement, Yu Ming closed his eyes and threw the ball into the basket. The game wasn't over yet, but Yu Ming was already missing many scoring opportunities. In the decisive play, Yu Hao passed the ball to a teammate. Knowing only a few seconds left, Yu Ming threw the ball from a distance. Although the ball didn't go in, the whole class rushed to celebrate because they had overcome adversity. They had bravely faced a strong team. On the way home, everyone wondered about the symbol on the back of their uniforms. Yu Ming guessed it was the first letter of his idol's name. Jing Ye chuckled because it was just a translation of a basketball comic book character's name. Manir confessed that she ordered the uniform and wrote Chuan Feng's initials on it. She chased after Jing Ye and accidentally ran into the opposing team. They wanted revenge on Yu Hao for daring to seduce the younger sister of one of their members. Tianqi pretended not to care and went to call for help. The whole group united, not allowing anyone to bully Yu Hao. Finally, the coach arrived and threatened to disqualify the sports school. During a break, Manir suddenly remembered she had missed the launch of the final Harry Potter book. Jing Ye kept mentioning Harry Potter to tease Manir. When Manir touched Yu Ming's hand, she was involuntarily flustered. At the restaurant for lunch, Jing Ye lingered on the moment he held Xiao Ying's hand. He confessed that he liked Xiao Ying, but Yu Ming remembered Jing Ye constantly changing his crush. Jing Ye insisted that this time he was truly smitten, but Yu Ming pretended not to to understand. He used the excuse of being full to go for a walk to the bookstore. Jingye guessed that Yuming was queuing to buy the final Harry Potter book. Jingye was sure Yuming didn't understand smitten because he already liked someone too much. Yuming stared at the bandage Manir had given him. He had bought the book she liked, but he didn't know how to confess his feelings. Manir saw Yuming call, but then hung up, so she proactively called back, guessing he was too shy to thank her. He wondered how she knew he couldn't see clearly. She claimed she was smart and easily guessed when he gave up basketball. But in reality, the future, Manir had contacted the past. Manir and asked the 2007 Manir to find a way to get Yuming into the game. Otherwise, he would regret it for the rest of his life. Yuming revealed that he had just bought the final volume of Harry Potter. Because Manir helped him, he arranged to let her borrow it to read the next day. In 2020, Yuming asked Manir if she had encountered any trouble recently. He revealed that he received an anonymous email accusing her of manipulative behavior in the entertainment industry. Yuming felt that the sender knew Manir very well, possibly even having gone to high school with them. Manir said that was the reason she decided to attend this year's class reunion. Yuming began to suspect Tianqi because he had thoroughly investigated the anonymous email. Although the complaint wasn't very long, the typing style was very similar to Tianqi's famous blogging style. She often wrote close to the margin and left 2 lines between paragraphs. Downstairs, Manir asked Yumei to call Tianqi over for a private conversation. Leng Yang intended to go outside for a smoke, but he found the door locked from the inside. The lights in the house suddenly went out, frightening Manir. Yuming, sitting nearby, quickly reassured her. Leng Yang thought the house had bad feng shui, but Manir insisted someone was targeting her. Just then, a voice rang out from the darkness. This person said he would take revenge on everyone present. The school had a rule prohibiting students from going out for lunch. Yu Hao asked his classmates what they liked to eat, because he had a way to buy food from outside and bring it in. He held his access card, so the security guard easily let him through the gate. Back at the cafeteria, Manir remembered that the access card needed a stamp from the academic affairs office. Yuming revealed that Yu Hao had forged the stamp. Manir heard that Jingye had a knack for drawing seals that looked exactly like the real thing. Xiaoying acknowledged this because Jingye had once given her a homemade access card. Manir remembered Yuming saying that Jingye liked Xiaoying. Just then, Jingye came in with a spare card because he was worried Xiaoying might forget to bring hers. After holding a secret meeting, Jingye laid out some rules for using the access card. As a result, the whole class went out for lunch. However, teacher Fang caught them red-handed. She asked the students where they got the seals from. The students handed over their access cards one by one, but Jingye still tried to finish his bowl of spicy soup. Back in class, each student had to read a self-criticism statement in front of the teacher. The whole class bowed their heads to their desks and refused to reveal who had forged the seals. When teacher Fang asked who it was, that person shook their head and said they didn't know. So she decided to change the seating arrangement for the whole class. She made the students write down their preferences, saying who they wanted to sit with. After class, Jingye was certain there was an informant in the class who had spilled the beans. He suspected Wang Ran, the new transfer student, of plotting to cause a collective disturbance. Furthermore, she hadn't gone out for lunch, so she must have told the teacher about it. Another student had also seen Wang Ran sneaking into the teacher's office yesterday afternoon. At the end of the day, when it was time to submit the application forms, Manir heard someone calling her name in the hallway. She turned around but saw no one, so she quickly ran back to class. In 2020, the masked figure projected group photos onto a screen. She claimed she had never appeared in those pictures, saying that even if she suddenly disappeared, no one would notice. Yet, she insisted she had always existed. Wang Ran stepped into the light and asked if her classmates had seen her. She remembered being unjustly humiliated years ago, even threatened and locked up by her classmates. Manir understood why Wang Ran hated her, but she wondered why Wang Ran had to email Yuming. Wang Ran believed Manir didn't deserve Yuming's genuine affection, so she had to expose Manir's hypocrisy. Wang Ran acknowledged that Manir had moved from the countryside to the city, but that didn't mean her friends were allowed to bully her. She recounted how she was ostracized as soon as she entered class. She attended a secret meeting, but many classmates didn't even recognize her. She was once locked in a room, but Manir ignored her and didn't help. Wang Ran hated Manir's fake kindness. Manir just stood by and watched her being bullied. She knew Manir spent a lot of money buying trending topics, so she decided to deliver a sensational news story tomorrow morning to help Manir become even more famous. In 2007, Manir secretly read everyone's preferences. She was utterly disappointed that her two best friends didn't choose to sit with her. She warned Manir in the future to prepare for losing Xiaoying and Yu Mei. Manir in the future revealed that Wang Ran had betrayed her. Even so, she still hoped that Manir from the past could help Wang Ran, because she understood very well how painful it felt to be abandoned by the whole world. Manir from the past opened Wang Ran's application form to look at it. Sure enough, she hadn't written anyone's name. The next day, Manir was angry with her two best friends because they hadn't chosen her. Yu Mei tried to explain, but Xiaoying quickly pulled her outside. It turned out that Xiaoying had heard that Yu Hao wanted to sit next to Manir, so she asked Yu Mei to write her name on the form. Because the school lifted the ban on eating out, Yu Hao invited Manir to eat spicy pancakes. Yu Ming followed them and revealed that Jingye intended to punish the traitor. Knowing the class size was odd, they planned to pool their votes so that Wang Ran would have to sit alone. Manir sneaked into the teacher's office and secretly retrieved the ballot box. She decided to change the name of the person she wanted to sit with. During class meetings, the homeroom teacher read out each person's preferences. Yeze wanted to sit with Tianqi, but she chose Yu Mei instead. Yu Hao wrote Manir's name, but she chose Wang Ran. Teacher Fang noticed Wang Ran hadn't written anyone's name, so she pretended that Wang Ran also wanted to sit with Manir. After the seat change, Manir proactively befriended Wang Ran, believing that in the future she would understand the feeling of being isolated. Indeed, a small action completely changed the future. In the future, Manir heard a clap of thunder. She opened her eyes and found herself happily eating noodles with everyone. Everyone was laughing and chatting, and they were very friendly with Wang Ran. She admitted that at first she couldn't fit in with the class, but luckily, thanks to Manir's proactive approach, she was able to integrate with everyone. Manir borrowed Yu Ming's computer to check. Sure enough, there were no more emails accusing her. Back in 2007, Manir didn't receive the city's Outstanding Student Award. Feeling wronged, she went to ask her teacher. Teacher Fang knew Manir was very active in extracurricular activities, but the school had its own judgment. Because Manir was applying to art school, she didn't need the 10 extra points for this award. Manir asked if the school didn't want to waste those 10 extra points, which is why they dismissed all her efforts. Manir stood in front of the convenience store, hesitating to go home, because her mother had just texted her that she had bought crab to celebrate her receiving the Outstanding Student Award. Her parents never thought she would be rejected. They were both outstanding students back then. Her mother was admitted to Peking University Medical School, and her father won a scholarship for overseas research. Therefore, they believed she would definitely succeed like them. Manir feared that even if she tried her best, she wouldn't meet even the minimum requirements of her parents. Yu Hao recounted that his father wanted him to become a multinational entrepreneur, but he thought that simply striving to fulfill his dream of returning home was enough. Manir saw this as her only chance to completely change her future. In 2007, Manir sought the help of two close friends. If she could obtain the performance evaluation report, she was certain she could get justice. However, the report was in the hands of the principal, who was Xiaoying's maternal uncle. Manir asked the principal about the criteria for evaluating outstanding young people. After the principal explained, he asserted that the selection process was very transparent. Yu Ming asked permission to return to class, but Manir insisted he stay. He suspected she was deliberately trying to distract him so that Xiaoying could steal the report. He immediately got into character and said he didn't accept her being chosen as an outstanding candidate. The two argued fiercely, forcing the principal to intervene and settle the dispute. Seeing that Xiaoying had finished her task, Manir admitted she had been a little too emotional. Outside, Manir criticized Yu Ming's acting as terrible, complimented her on her fake crying, almost making him laugh. She thanked him for getting justice from the principal. Just then, Yu Mei arrived. She felt Yu Ming was becoming a better match for Manir. When the evaluation results were posted on the bulletin board, everyone would realize Manir deserved the title of Outstanding Youth. She walked past the teacher's office and overheard teacher Fang defending her in front of the principal. In 2020, Manir heard the news that she had received the Outstanding Youth Award. In 2007, she relived the memory and fully experienced the moment of receiving the award. However, her future trending on social media remained unchanged. She still had to fight and follow others' wishes to survive in the harsh entertainment industry. Because Manir's past made it difficult for her to give up her dreams, she suddenly realized she should be more courageous on this path. Yu Hao stood below, calling Manir down to eat dumplings. Yu Ming saved a portion for Manir, but she complained that his cooking was terrible. Seeing that she couldn't eat spicy food, he quickly went to get a glass of water. However, he was always slower than Yu Hao. Just then, the manager called to say that director Dai Chuan had just sent a new contract to Manir. Yu Hao looked at the music player and remembered he had received a strange call. In 2007, the experimental class went back to their hometown to experience farming. Yu Hao borrowed Manir's headphones. At that moment, a male voice rang out. He asked Manir to pass a Korean audio recording to Yu Hao. He knew Yu Hao had already suspected that the music player was not normal. This person advised Yu Hao to bravely confess his feelings to the girl he liked and absolutely not return to Korea. Upon arriving at the farm school, everyone was excited to enter the dormitory, but all that awaited them were 3 old beds. Wang Ran said she couldn't find the bathroom anywhere. It turned out the notice stated they had to shower elsewhere. However, the students felt incredibly excited just to be together. In the first lesson, the class learned how to dig sweet potatoes. Manir enthusiastically practiced, while Yu Ming was engrossed in playing Journey to the West. He noticed Tianqi reading a romance novel, so he borrowed it to take a look. Manir thought Yu Ming was just admiring Tianqi, so she made them go dig sweet potatoes. Yu Ming said he had already dug a basketful, enough to share with the class president and Tianqi. Just then, teacher Fang came to remind the students to review their lessons after digging. Yu Ming urged Manir to sit down and rest, but she sulked and walked away. During the break, Yu Hao taught Manir how to play chess. She glanced back at Yu Ming, who was sitting far away from Tianqi. Only then did she feel at ease enough to fall asleep. Seeing Yu Hao shielding Manir from the sun, Yu Ming angrily threw a paper airplane at them. After a day of hard work, the whole class was waiting to eat roasted sweet potatoes. Manir thought Yu Ming would peel them for her, but unexpectedly he happily ate them himself. Yu Ming even gave a sweet potato to Tianqi, making Manir even more jealous. She ate a piece of sweet potato that was too hot, so she quickly asked Yu Hao to pour her some water. Seeing their affectionate interaction, Yu Ming couldn't swallow the sweet potato in his hand either. It was almost time for the hygiene check, so Manir urged her classmates to clean up quickly. She meticulously checked every strand of hair to ensure her class came first. When the results were announced, Manir learned that her class had missed out on the top 3. Even more surprisingly, the teacher specifically criticized the girls' dormitory of the experimental class. Back at the dorm, Manir found Tianqi's room very messy. She questioned why her classmates hadn't cleaned. Tianqi said she was busy reading. Furthermore, the teacher had instructed them to just use their time for studying. Manir criticized Tianqi for lacking a sense of teamwork. After arguing, they decided to test their martial arts skills to determine the winner. Teacher Fang arrived just in time to remind her students not to make a fool of themselves in front of the other class. Manir, sulking, went back to her room. In 2020, a sudden clap of thunder sounded. Manir heard people playing a recording of her dealings with an anonymous person. She quickly checked the trending topics. Sure enough, there was still news about her harming Cassie. Manir asked Wang Ran why she wanted to harm her. Wang Ran swore she wouldn't betray her friends for a few pennies. Manir believed Wang Ran because they had resolved their past misunderstandings. Just then, the anonymous person sent an email, but the sender's name had changed. Moreover, the recording had been turned into a video, clearly showing Manir bad-mouthing Cassie to director Dai Chuan. When Manir met Yu Hao, he said netizens were digging up information about her parents. She quickly called her manager to hire someone to secretly protect her parents. Julie wondered if the recording circulating online was real. Manir admitted she had threatened director Dai Chuan. Yu Ming thought Manir shouldn't resort to underhanded tactics for a role. Yu Hao believed Manir was only protecting herself. Yu Ming asked Manir if she could handle the consequences if Cassie actually eventually died. In 2007, Manir was learning to make tofu. She wondered why her soy milk wouldn't solidify. Seeing Tianqi standing right next to Yu Ming, she didn't bother asking him for help. During craft class, each person made their own flour. Yu Ming returned after class and secretly placed his flour next to Manir. But during nap time, the alarm suddenly went off. Teacher Fan came in and announced that the class had to do a fire drill. She tied a blanket around Manir and helped her climb down through the window. Seeing Manir's fear, Tianqi volunteered to be the first to demonstrate. Manir nervously climbed down, making Yu Ming extremely tense below. He breathed a sigh of relief when she landed safely. Finally, the piece of cloth unfortunately tore. Jingye, unable to take his eyes off Xiaoying, managed to catch her in time. Though frightened, he felt a sense of satisfaction at having saved her. During the group activity, the teacher organized a game of chase. Manir heard about the points awarded for participation and volunteered. The teacher assigned Yeze and Tianqi to join, but one person was still missing. Seeing Manir's enthusiasm, Yu Ming volunteered. In less than 5 minutes, Yu Ming reported that Yeze and Tianqi's location had been revealed. Xiaoying guessed they were hiding somewhere reading. Manir thought Yu Ming was on Tianqi's side, so she continued searching for the enemy. They caught one of them together and decided to split up, but at that moment, Yu Ming was hiding behind the stables. He called Manir to get the signal transmitter from the stables and then go distract the enemy. Manir went to get her bag, but she couldn't contact Yu Ming, fearing he had gone to a place without a signal. She hurried to find him. Finally, she found him sitting by the riverbank. He explained that he had accidentally dropped his walkie-talkie into the water. Manir called Xiaoying to pick him up, but she only knew she was by the river, watching the goldfish. Yu Ming was surprised that Manir had admitted defeat to go look for him. She also wondered why he, who usually disliked group activities, volunteered this time. It turned out he was afraid she would be unhappy if she lost. He greatly admired her for always striving to achieve what she wanted. He believed that most people didn't dare show their concern because they were afraid of losing if their efforts were unsuccessful. She thought that if they had tried their best, even if they lost, there would be no regrets. Just then, the whole group arrived to greet them. Leng Yang asked the fish god to bless their class with the outstanding farmer flag. He skillfully caught the fish god. Unexpectedly, they actually received the flag. Before returning to school, everyone had a great time under a dazzling fireworks display. Leng Yang and Yu Mei both wished they could travel freely in the future. Manir hopes to become an actress walking the international red carpet. Xiaoying just wants to be happy and even wants to wear dresses and let her hair grow long. Wang Ran hopes everyone will love her. Tianqi wishes to travel across the world, seeing all its beautiful scenery. She also promises to wake up early to clean. Yeze wants to get into Tsinghua University. Yu Ming wants to become a professional pitcher. Yu Hao doesn't have lofty dreams. He just wants to always be with everyone. He takes Manir out to watch the meteor shower, and they make wishes together. Manir says she wishes all his wishes come true. Yu Hao unexpectedly confesses that he likes her. She asks for more time to think and promises to give him her answer at the end of the year. On Christmas Day, Yu Hao gives Manir a card a day in advance, afraid that she will miss his wish if she receives many cards the next day. Yu Ming teases the young people for still believing in miracles on Christmas Day. But if he had to accept a gift, he wanted a workbook. Manir decided to give cards to everyone except Yu Ming. He wondered why she hadn't given him one since she had prepared one for him. Manir sent her best wishes to Yu Ming. After school, the group of boys went to Jingye's house. Yu Ming quietly opened Manir's card. He unconsciously smiled, even though it was full of her scolding him. He asked his friends how to give a gift without the recipient knowing. Jingye advised Yu Ming to give gifts to the whole class. That way, Manir wouldn't overthink it. Early the next morning, Yu Ming went to class to secretly give Manir a gift, but he didn't expect 2 other friends to arrive even earlier than him. Leng Yang secretly gave a gift to Yu Mei, and Yeze still hadn't dared to give a gift to Tianqi. Jingye scolded his friends for watching soccer and then left, leaving a pile of trash in his room. Before class, the whole class exchanged greeting cards. After a whole day of studying, Jingye stared blankly out the window. Teacher Fang called him to stand up and speak. She wondered what was so beautiful outside the window that he was staring at it so intently. Unexpectedly, the first snow of the season began began to fall. Teacher Fang decided to dismiss the class 5 minutes early so they could go outside and admire the snow. Manir bumped into Yuming's desk, accidentally dropping her book about acting. She suspected he also wanted to be an actor like her. Outside, Manir urged her classmates to make wishes. Yuming wondered why girls wanted to make wishes for everything they saw. Manir believed that the melting snowflakes on her hand would make the wish come true. Jingye held out his hand to catch the snow. Unexpectedly, the person above him spat on his hand. Everyone received a surprise gift. Xiaoying guessed. Yuming secretly gave the book to Manir. Just then, Yuhao was feeling a little sleepy, so Manir hurriedly saw him off. It turned out Yuhao was only pretending to take Manir to see the miracle. He urged her to quickly call Yumei to take her school bag home. Yuhao secretly vowed that from now on, he would have to cheat a little in matters of love. Jingye guessed that Yuming gave gifts to the whole class just to publicly wish Manir a Merry Christmas. Yuming denied it, but no one believed him. Just then, Manir called Yumei, asking her to bring her bag back. She also said the book wasn't from Yuming because he had bought the latest edition. Moreover, he had also received a study book. Yumei remembered that only Wang Ran hadn't received a gift. Manir asked her friends to quickly think of a way to thank Wang Ran. At the beach, Hao gave Manir a magic staff. He pointed to the sky and added stars just for her. Manir said that miracles happen to those who truly believe in them. Yuhao demanded an answer to his confession, but Manir pretended not to understand what he was saying. Back at her doorstep, Manir saw a snowman hugging her school bag. Inside were 2 books about acting. Yuming left a message saying that he had used countless snowflakes to build the statue. Each snowflake was for Manir to make a wish. Wang Ran received countless congratulatory phone calls from her friends. They welcomed her back to class and gave her a warm surprise. Yuhao saw that his parents had returned to pick him up to take him to Korea. His father said that they were having financial difficulties and had to transfer all their capital back to Korea to make ends meet. Yuhao asked why his father had dismissed Uncle Zhao, who had taken care of him for the past 12 years. He declared that he didn't want to run away from debt like his father. He insisted on staying in China. When they met Manir eating spicy pancakes, Yuhao and Yuming simultaneously offered her water because they were afraid she would find it too spicy. Yuhao said he was about to return to Korea and wanted to celebrate the new year with Manir. Yuming asked to tag along, but Xiaoying advised him to focus on his studies. Manir tried to stay awake until midnight. She taught Yuhao how to crack sunflower seeds, but he found it too difficult. Just then, Yuming called, and he deliberately stalled so he could spend New Year's Eve with Manir over the phone. But when he heard Yuhao was still at her house, he reluctantly abandoned his plan. During the countdown to New Year's Eve, Manir pulled Yuhao out to watch the dazzling fireworks. Yuhao asked for a wish. He said he would only reveal it to Manir after it was fulfilled. He decided to tear up his plane ticket to Korea to stay with her. In 2020, Manir read online insults about her. They mocked her for being an actress who dared to badmouth a director behind his back. Just then, Manir from the past contacted her. She said it was the new year and urgently asked her past Manir to help Yuhao return to Korea the next morning. Because his family was on the verge of bankruptcy, if Yuhao insisted on staying, he might face even greater trouble. Early in the morning, Manir gave Yuhao the plane tickets. She said she had seen them in the trash can and carefully sealed them. She asked Uncle Zhao to make sure Yuhao got to the airport safely. But that evening Yuhao still appeared at Manir's doorstep. She urged him to hurry to the airport to return to Korea. Yuhao confessed that he wished to be with her forever. He asked if she really didn't remember or was deliberately avoiding answering him. She didn't understand what he was saying, so he sulked and left. It turned out that before confessing his feelings, he had fallen asleep from nervousness. But in his dream, he thought he had confessed his feelings to Manir. Before the Lunar New Year holiday, Teacher Fang distributed university reference books. Manir discovered that the list didn't include the Film Academy or any performing arts department. She rushed to the teacher's office to ask the teacher. Teacher Fang remembered that during the admissions counseling session, the school said that art entrance exams had to be registered separately. Seeing Manir absent that day, she assumed Manir had given up on taking the art entrance exam. Manir realized that she had missed it because she was busy advising Yuhao to return to Korea. Teacher Fang called the education office, but the deadline for registering for the Beijing Film Academy entrance exam had already passed. When Manir got home, she received a call from Yu Ming. He thought there must be another way for her to take the art entrance exam. No matter what, he would always stand by her side. Yu Ming's mother praised him for growing up. She had just heard on the news that Shanghai was still accepting students who came in person to register for the art entrance exam. Yu Ming quickly contacted the Shanghai Academy to get information about the application process. He texted his friends to help Manir prepare the documents so he could send them to his aunt and uncle in Shanghai for assistance. After a busy day, Manir finally successfully registered, but she suddenly suspected that the future Manir deliberately wanted her to miss the admissions counseling session. She asked the future Manir why she dared to deprive her of her dream. She would rather not grow up than become such a scheming person. The future Manir asked if she would accept the possibility of her acting career never being recognized. The future Manir advised her to give up. In the past, Manir was determined not to end up in such a terrible situation because she had so many supporters around her. She was determined not to give up and was sure she would become a good actress. She went to Shanghai to take an art exam. She wasn't used to the biting cold of the South. The hotel staff thought Manir had left, so they went to clean her room. The other contestants had all gone out early that morning. Manir looked out the window and realized the big city was experiencing severe traffic jams. She had to run to school, her hair soaking wet. Just then, the teacher called Manir in for the exam. She was a little nervous because the previous contestants had all been interrupted before they finished speaking. When it was her turn, she said she didn't like classic works like her classmates. She loved the Harry Potter series, even though it was just a fictional story. She felt the actors in the films were so immersed in their roles that it made her believe in the existence of magic. Even at the age of 11, she cried uncontrollably when she didn't receive her acceptance letter from the owl. When it came to the acting round, the judges asked the contestants to form groups of two, each playing their future selves. Manir remembered denying her past self in 2020. She chose to play her past self while her partner played her future self. However, during the performance, she felt as if she saw her future self standing before her. She blamed her future self for being weak, but her future self urged her to change. She declared she would absolutely not become that terrible version of herself. Manir snapped back to reality and quickly excused herself to leave. The next day, Manir went to check the results of the art competition. She was surprised to have passed the preliminary round and even ranked 19th. In the interview round, the judges asked Manir if she had talent for acting. Manir said that acting was her burning dream. Whether she possessed talent or not, she was determined not to give up. The judges wondered how Manir, without any formal training, could compete with students from professional art schools. Moreover, everyone who went there said they liked and dreamed of becoming actors. Manir asked to go out, but she insisted on pursuing her acting career. Because of the heavy snowfall, she couldn't go home yet. She called her parents, but they didn't answer. Meanwhile, Yu Ming secretly checked Manir's social media. Just then, she updated her status complaining about spending the Lunar New Year alone in Shanghai. Yu Hao also read Manir's status and despite the snow and rain, rushed to her side. In her rented room, Manir couldn't turn on the air conditioner, so she was shivering from the cold. Just then, a man knocked on the door and scolded her for not dressing warmly enough. Manir burst into tears, accusing Yu Ming of being heartless. He said he traveled thousands of miles to bring her hot milk tea. He gave her the warmth still lingering in his coat. He told her to come home with him. It turned out that Yu Ming and his mother were celebrating the Lunar New Year with his maternal family in Shanghai. His mother scolded him for not opening the car door for Manir, saying that if he didn't, how could he pursue her? His mother praised Manir's beauty, saying she would surely become very famous in idol dramas. She asked Manir to introduce her to some handsome CEOs. Worried about leaving Manir alone at the hotel, Yu Ming and his mother brought her food. Yu Ming clarified that his mother had forced him to come, not that he wanted to. Mrs. Yu urged Manir to try the traditional southern glutinous rice dumplings. Manir was excited because she loved sweets, but she didn't expect to find meat-filled dumplings inside. Hearing Manir praise the food, Yu Ming criticized her acting as being too fake. Mrs. Yu defended Manir, saying she had acted best in the school's promotional film. Just then, Manir's mother called to apologize, explaining she had just undergone surgery for over 10 hours. She believed Manir was mature enough to handle things well. Feeling hurt, Manir said she didn't need her mother's concern. She wiped away her tears and went out to continue eating her braised meat, Yuming said. Her mother had forgotten to turn off the stove and had to leave. Seeing her eyes redden, he reminded her not to pretend to be happy anymore. She confessed to him that she had done very poorly in the art entrance exam. They criticized her for lacking experience. She also said she had no acting talent. She said that although her mother supported her, she didn't really care how she was doing. Yuming praised Manir's acting as more realistic than before. She scolded him for helping her get to Shanghai, yet he didn't even offer her a word of comfort. Yuming urged Manir to finish eating and go somewhere with him. He led her to the rooftop and revealed that from there, they could see fireworks all over Shanghai. But he waited and didn't hear a single explosion. Manir noticed Yuming hiding something behind his back. She snatched the fireworks and wanted to celebrate the most spectacular New Year's Eve with him. Yuming approached to light them, suddenly realizing he was standing very close to Manir. A moment of embarrassment passed, but he still stood beside her to welcome the new year. She thanked him for letting her see the most beautiful fireworks in Shanghai. Just then, it started snowing. He shielded the firework with his hand as if protecting the most precious thing on New Year's Eve. He wished her a happy new year. He assured her she would definitely achieve what she wanted. She replied that he could also become a professional basketball player. In the swirling snow, the fireworks seemed to ignite a quiet but intense belief between them. When she got home, Manir anxiously checked her art entrance exam results. She braced herself for the worst case scenario. Unexpectedly, she ranked 41st out of 1,000 applicants. However, the Shanghai Film Academy only accepted 35 students for the performing arts major. She called the education department and questioned why she still met the criteria. They said that if those ranked above her didn't have enough cultural points, they would have to give way to those behind them. So Manir had to meet the university entrance exam minimum score first, and then she would wait for luck. Manir intended to share the good news with her parents, but they only pretended to support her pursuing art. Her parents wanted her to fail and give up her acting career. Manir went out and said she ranked 41st in the art competition. Her mother asked if meeting the criteria would allow her to enter Peking University. Moreover, thousands of art students graduate every year. How many actually become famous actors? If Manir failed, how would she face the cutthroat world of entertainment? Manir's father believed she was excellent and deserved a better life. Manir clarified that she wasn't as talented as her parents thought. She couldn't pass the Peking University entrance exam and was just an ordinary person pursuing her dream. Manir's mother warned her that if she insisted on becoming an actress, she would have to face the difficulties on her own later. Manir wasn't afraid because she had been used to making her own decisions for the past 15 years. Manir decided to reconnect with the future. She reported that she had met the criteria for the art competition, but her ranking wasn't very high. She had worked very hard and wanted to know if the future would change. Manir, from the future, clearly remembers her past self facing her parents' skepticism. Hearing that Yu Hao had been absent from school for several days, she went to his villa to find him. Unexpectedly, she found debt collection notices everywhere. She remembered her future self telling her to bring Yu Hao back to Korea. Manir and her friends split up to search for Yu Hao. She went to a game arcade and finally found him. Unexpectedly, the debt collectors were following her. Yu Hao pulled Manir away to escape. He hid her in a secluded spot and then ran out to distract the debt collectors. Yu Hao had nowhere to run, but luckily, Yu Ming pulled him back into the house just in time. Upon arriving at Yu Ming's house, Yu Hao guessed that Yu Ming had many questions. Yu Hao explained that his family had suffered business losses and owed money. Yu Ming asked Yu Hao why he didn't return to Korea. Yu Hao revealed that a stranger had advised him to stay with the person he liked. However, he thought he should probably return to his country to help his family. Yu Ming argued that Yu Hao returning to his country wouldn't solve anything. If Yu Hao wanted to stay, he could temporarily stay at Yu Ming's house. Yu Hao wondered if Yu Ming wasn't afraid he would be an obstacle between him and Manir. Yu Ming replied that he didn't know Manir's feelings, but perhaps he was the one who would be an obstacle between them. Manir's choice wouldn't affect their friendship. Early in the morning, Yu Hao's father called and told him he could return to the villa. His father advised him to learn how to protect the one he loved, instead of stubbornly staying by her side. The next day, Manir still hadn't seen Yu Hao at school. Yu Ming said that his family had settled their debts and he had moved back to the villa the night before. Yu Ming reminded her to focus on her studies and not mention Yu Hao. Manir Manir encountered the debt collectors from the previous day, they told her not to be afraid, because they were only there to erase the red writing on the gate. Manir breathed a sigh of relief, thinking that Yu Hao's family had truly overcome their crisis. The debt collectors correct the record, claiming Yu Hao's father went bankrupt in South Korea, but still hadn't paid off his debts in China. The villa was also being auctioned off. Just then, Yu Hao returned home and tried to avoid Manir. Yu Ming appeared in time to teach Yu Hao a lesson. Yu Ming reminded Yu Hao that if he lacked courage, he shouldn't involve Manir. Yu Hao realized he couldn't do anything, so he distanced himself from everyone. At that moment, Manir brought medicine, but Yu Ming wouldn't let her touch anyone else. Manir told Yu Ming to leave so she could talk to Yu Hao privately. Manir revealed that the person who had asked Yu Hao to stop her from having plastic surgery was her future self. Manir in the future had asked her to persuade him to return to South Korea. Yu Hao said he had also heard his future self's voice. Future Yu Hao advised him to stay in China so he wouldn't regret it later. But Yu Hao didn't expect that his father had spent all his money paying off debts in China because of him. Manir believed that everything could still be salvaged. In 2020, the group planned a surprise birthday party for Manir. She unexpectedly opened the door and pulled Yu Hao into the room. She said someone from the past wanted to contact him. Yu Hao from 2007 blamed himself for being selfish and causing his family's bankruptcy. Yu Hao from 2020 said the future hadn't changed. This proved that, whether he returned to Korea or not, his father would have handled the company's affairs. Yu Hao from 2007 couldn't change the risk of bankruptcy, but he could choose to be with the person he liked. Yu Hao from 2020 asked Manir what she had asked the past to change. She said she had changed a lot, but she couldn't improve her situation as a failed actress. Yu Hao unexpectedly took Manir's hand. He wanted to change their relationship from that moment on. Just then, Yu Ming walked by. He said everything was Cassie's doing. He had investigated and found that after Cassie's death, she wasn't taken to the city hospital for emergency treatment. She chose a private hospital hundreds of kilometers away. Yu Ming had someone investigate and discovered that Cassie had been there twice before the incident. Moreover, before Cassie was even admitted to the hospital, an art magazine had spread rumors about Manir. Yu Ming suspected Cassie was making things up, so he pretended to be an art magazine reporter to approach her. He threatened her, saying that if she didn't transfer more money, he would reveal everything about the plot to harm Manir. Sure enough, Cassie confessed everything. Manir believed that the evidence could expose Cassie, but it couldn't change her bad-mouthing of director Dai Chuan. Yu Ming wondered why Manir had to act in his film. Did she love acting or just wanted to prove herself successful? Manir thought that childhood dreams didn't necessarily have to be pursued for a lifetime. Yu Ming revealed that he had also once given up his dream of playing basketball, but Manir's perseverance years ago encouraged him to pursue it to the end. He couldn't become a player, but he became a basketball game developer. He confessed that he liked Manir and never gave up on her passion. Just then, her friends rushed in to congratulate Manir on turning 30. They knew the entertainment industry was complicated, but they vowed to support her through all the challenges. Manir realized that turning 30 wasn't so scary if she could be surrounded by friends. In 2008, her teacher, Miss Feng, advised her students to carefully consider their choices before filling out their college application forms. Those who chose to study art wouldn't be able to apply to regular universities. Manir didn't know whether to apply to university or art. She tossed a coin, but all 5 times it advised her to apply to university. In her dream, Manir saw herself as the top student in the social sciences track, but the Film Academy announced she wasn't among the top 35 students admitted. Everyone mocked Manir, calling her the only university top student in history to fail the entrance exam. Yu Ming took over collecting the application forms for Manir because he wanted to give her more time to think. She knew that if she chose to take the college entrance exam, her future would be less troubled. Yu Mei lent Manir an eraser so she could make her final decision, but she didn't wait for the results before deciding to take the exam. Throughout the entire class, Manir couldn't concentrate. Xiao Ying encouraged her to consider journalism or finance. Yu Mei thought Manir would be a beautiful lawyer. Manir had no interest in choosing a school. She only wanted to please her parents. Knowing Manir was going against her wishes, Yu Ming told Jingye a story. He said a relative of his had just been expelled from school for choosing a major he didn't like. Every time he sat down to study, he felt nauseous. He deeply regretted that wrong choice that had ruined his bright youth. Seeing Manir leave, Yu Ming quickly followed her. He continued to tell stories of suffering, even depression, from people who had to study majors they didn't love. But the next day, Yu Ming continued telling the same story, making Manir fed up. She asked him what he ultimately wanted to tell her. He said he hadn't submitted her application yet. Yu Mei suggested Manir could ask the fish god, but Yu Ming believed the correct answer lay in Manir's heart. She recalled the moment she tossed the coin, and her only wish was to take the art exam. She believed that if she followed her heart, she would never regret it. A month before the college entrance exam, everyone was studying until they were dizzy. Lang Yang saw the moving fish tank and quickly urged his friends to hide under the table. Just then, Teacher Fang came in to announce that an earthquake had just occurred in Sichuan. Although it was quite far from Qingdao, everyone had to be on high alert. Yu Ming asked the teacher which area in Sichuan was affected by the earthquake. Because his father was on a business trip in Chengdu, Yu Ming went home to comfort his mother, but she was extremely worried because they couldn't contact his father. Yu Ming hurriedly finished his mock exam so he could go out and find out news about his father. He believed Sichuan was vast, so his father would surely be alright. Before the second exam, Yu Ming heard his mother say that his father had visited a friend in Beichuan the previous afternoon. That area had suffered heavy damage, and they feared something bad might have happened to his father. He felt like he was in a daze. Although the invigilator prevented him from bringing his phone into the exam room, he still brought it in. Manir asked the teacher for understanding, saying he was waiting for news about his missing father in the earthquake-stricken area. The invigilator agreed to keep the phone for him and promised to give it to Yu Ming if he received a call. But he had no mind to taking the exam anymore. Yu Ming and his mother made hundreds of phone calls in vain. Yu Ming's father answered and said he was safe. He intended to go to Beichuan, but halfway there, heard about a strong earthquake. He decided to stay and volunteer to help the victims. Yu Ming felt proud of his father. He hoped for a family reunion soon. The next day, Teacher Fang praised the class for their improved grades. Only Yu Ming faced a special situation, causing his grades to plummet. Teacher Fang advised her students not to let momentary emotions affect their future. During the final mock exam, Yu Ming still experienced dizziness while doing math. As a result, he, who was previously the best math student in the class, now scored lower than Lang Yang. Manir knew Yu Ming was very upset, so she deliberately asked him to explain the material. She praised him as a math genius, confident that he would quickly regain his form. During the final class meeting, Teacher Fang gave each student a silk pouch. Jingye braced herself for a scolding. Unexpectedly, Teacher Fang instructed him that if he encountered 3 long questions and 1 short one, he should choose the shortest answer. Teacher Fang praised Yu Ming as the best in the class. She reminded Manir not to waste time reading the entire exam beforehand. She told each student to write a message to themselves 10 years from now and give it to her to keep. Manir wanted to directly contact her future self. She wanted to work harder together with her future Manir, but she was worried because Yu Hao was still taking private tutoring at home. Meanwhile, Yu Ming was struggling with math. Just then, Teacher Fang saw Manir listening to music in class, so she confiscated the device so Manir could focus on studying for the final 3 days. Back home, Manir constantly called Yu Ming to ask for help with her studies. She showered him with praise to cheer him up. In 2020, Manir visited Cassie. She knew Cassie had orchestrated the whole thing, but she didn't go to determine right from wrong, because they shared a common enemy, those who were watching their spectacle. Manir said they were trapping them in a fighting arena to tear each other apart. Manir recounted that during the casting process, director Dai Chuan advised her to prove herself more valuable than Cassie. If she missed the lead role, she wouldn't have any more opportunities by the time she was 30. Dai Chuan threatened Cassie, saying she wasn't capable of competing with experienced actors unless she agreed to do what he wanted. Manir chuckled, because Dai Chuan had already prepared a scenario for both of them. She asked Cassie if she wanted to join her in the rebellion. At the back gate of the hospital, Yu Ming unexpectedly arrived to pick up Manir. He said he needed her to go somewhere with him. In 2007, the college entrance exams finally ended. The school held a graduation ceremony and declared that the students had begun a new chapter in their lives. tears. Jingye reminded Yuming not to stare at Manir anymore. He said they were grown up and could confess their feelings to the people they liked. Jingye performed a farewell ceremony for the exam preparation materials. After Manir finished cleaning up, she and her two best friends went to release Goldfish. Yuming received many love letters, but he still hadn't dared to confess to the person he liked. Wang Ran timidly took a letter from her bag. Just then he was looking at the drawing on Manir's desk with affectionate eyes and went to see Manir. Yu Hao wished her a happy coming of age. He confessed that he had only lied about having a tutor at home. In reality, he hadn't taken the college entrance exam. He had impulsively stayed in China, so he had to take responsibility for his choice. Manir rushed back to get her graduation certificate to hold a coming-of-age ceremony for Yu Hao. She wished him a bright future and encouraged him to live responsibly. She personally signed his t-shirt, jokingly saying that if she became famous later, that signature would surely be very valuable. Early in the morning, the group planned a picnic. Everyone dressed maturely to prove their adulthood. They excitedly went to the beach, only to find a huge patch of moss washed ashore. As a result, the whole group had to do community service. The trip suddenly turned into a moss collecting event. Just then, Yi's parents called to announce that he had topped the city's exam results. Manir told everyone to pray to the goldfish one last time before checking their scores. Unexpectedly, before they could even finish their prayers, Lang Yang released the fish back into the sea. Yuming said that goldfish live in fresh water, so releasing them back into the sea would harm them. Manir urged her friends to quickly go and save the fish. After a moment of carefree fun, everyone mustered the courage to face the results of the college entrance exam. Yize asked Tianqi whether she applied to Tsinghua or Peking University, but she decided to study abroad. On the beach, Manir wanted to exchange scores with Yuming. They exchanged registration numbers and checked each other's scores. He congratulated her on achieving 637 points, enough to get into all the art universities. Manir hesitantly read out Yuming's score. He said he had prepared himself mentally because his math score wasn't as good as before. Manir told Yuming that she had scored a whopping 141 points in math. He was so surprised that he hugged her tightly. She congratulated them both on successfully passing the exam. A patch of moss unexpectedly fell at Manir's feet. Yuming saw Manir's messy hair and immediately helped her tie it back. His hands fumbled as he smoothed each strand of hair. He kept apologizing to her as he did so. She threatened that if she took bad photos because of that hairstyle, she would definitely not forgive him. Xiao Ying was hesitant and lacked the courage to wear a dress for the first time. However, Yu Hao complimented her, saying the dress suited her very well. His simple words were enough to boost her confidence. In 2020, Yu Ming took Manir home. He asked her why she dared to confront Cassie, but didn't dare meet her parents. Manir explained that her parents had forced her to shoulder all the burdens if she chose to become an actress. So no matter what difficulties she faced, she gritted her teeth and overcame them alone. She remembered being stranded in Shanghai on New Year's Eve, and how Yu Ming and his mother had brought her food. Manir's mother didn't answer her calls and didn't seem to care about her well-being. If she complained, they would only think she was childish. In Yu Ming's heart, Manir was always brave enough to express her own thoughts. Manir went to see her parents. Unexpectedly, she hadn't been home for several years. Her mother asked when she planned to find a decent job. She said that her family was the reason she couldn't become a good actress. She didn't care about the thousands of voices scolding her, but she feared she would lose all value in her mother's eyes. She knew her mother wanted her to fail to prove that she had taught her right. Her mother angrily stormed back to her room. Her father chased after her. Her mother just sat silently beside her father. Her mother wanted her to succeed more than anyone else, but the entertainment industry was too far removed from her parents' understanding. They wanted to help her, but didn't know how. When Manir's mother went out, her father played an old movie of hers again. She wondered why her parents still watched that kind of movie. Manir's mother remembered watching Manir's debut film 8 times. Manir thought the script was terrible, but her parents didn't care about the plot. They just wanted to see her on television. Manir's father said her mother even created a social media account to defend her. When they saw Manir off, her mother hoped she would come home soon. As Manir got into the car, she couldn't hold back the overwhelming emotions welling up inside her. She confided in Yu Ming that she regretted it deeply. On the way back, Manir watched Cassie's video. She exposed the director Dai Chuan during the audition, repeatedly provoking the actors' relationship and even demanding that they do things that crossed the line. Back at the villa, Manir watched everyone unpacking a package package containing letters each person had written when they were 17. But Manir received a message that teacher Fang had already sent her a voice recorder. On the beach, the whole group gathered. Jingye organized a game where the loser had to read their 17-year-old letter. First was Xiao Ying. She wished she could confidently wear dresses when she grew up. Her friends were surprised that Xiao Ying had also become a makeup artist. When it was Yu Ming's turn, he simply wrote that he wanted to be a professional basketball player. Lang Yang unexpectedly snatched the letter and offered it to Jingye to read. Yu Ming quickly snatched it back, but accidentally dropped it into the fire. Watching Lang Yang chop firewood, Yu Mei criticized him for lacking strength. He tried to show off by chopping with his hands, but she quickly stopped him. He seized the opportunity to hold her hand. He still kept the gift he hadn't dared to give her years ago. She discovered that the book contained his sincere confession of love. He said he thanked her for liking him. Nearby, Jingye shyly complimented Xiao Ying on her beauty. He knew she liked someone else, which is why he hadn't dared to confess for so many years. He urged her to seize the opportunity because Yu Hao was still single. But Xiao Ying believed that liking someone only required watching them from afar. Under the night sky, Yeze and Tianqi gazed at the stars together. He remembered his lower grades in high school compared to Tianqi, so he was determined to become the top student in the university entrance exam so she would look at him again. However, she went abroad and didn't care about grades. After that, Yeze worked hard to get a job at a good company. As a result, Tianqi quit her job to travel the world. Yeze told Tianqi that while he was trying to shine in his small solar system, she had already traveled to the vast galaxy. Tianqi guessed that Yeze had a secondary account dedicated solely to liking her posts. She wondered why he didn't proactively contact her. Yeze confessed that he was also waiting for her to turn around and look at him. Tianqi unexpectedly kissed Yeze on the cheek because if she didn't have the courage once, perhaps they would miss each other forever. Tianqi said that she liked him, so she agreed to be his girlfriend. The friends rushed to congratulate the class president for daring to take the initiative. Yeze happily pulled Tianqi into his arms. Jingye advised Yu Ming that it was time to confess his feelings to Manir, who had secretly loved him for many years. Manir ate heartily. It had been a long time since Yu Hao had seen her so relaxed. He wondered if their relationship had ever changed. Manir shook her head, saying that she had only ever changed her relationship with Yu Ming. Yu Hao realized that in the past, he had never successfully confessed his feelings, but he didn't mind trying again in the present. Just then, Xiao Ying called Manir to go find Yu Mei. Yu Hao thought Manir didn't need to worry about a couple who had just confirmed their relationship. Manir turned around and unintentionally leaned close to Yu Hao. Manir wanted to tell Xiao Ying, but Yu Hao pulled her back. He begged her not to avoid him anymore. Yu Hao confessed to Manir that he liked her. He had liked her since the moment she taught him Chinese in elementary school. He said that back then he was short and insecure, so he kept his feelings to himself. When he grew taller, his family faced a crisis, but all these years he has always remembered her. He thanked her for her feelings that made his school days so beautiful. Manir said they should remain close friends. Yu Ming saw Yu Hao hugging Manir tightly and accused her of abandoning her boyfriend to hug another man. Manir didn't understand what was happening, but Yu Ming quickly pulled her away. Yu Hao sat alone, reminiscing about the most beautiful times he had with the person he liked. Manir wondered how the past could change. She asked Yu Ming what right he had to control her, but he insisted he was her boyfriend. Yu Ming pulled Manir to a place he assured her would love. Sure enough, it was a fireworks display. Manir always loved such dazzling things. She asked Yu Ming how many times he'd been there. He said he'd only seen fireworks 3 times with the same person. She'd once said she wanted to become an actress, walking the world's biggest red carpet. Yu Ming unexpectedly lifted Manir up just as the fireworks blazed. Manir wondered how long they'd been together if they'd only seen fireworks 3 times. Yu Ming unexpectedly asked Manir if she would have accepted Yu Hao's confession if he hadn't appeared earlier. Manir praised Yu Hao for being both gentle and thoughtful, making it hard to guarantee she wouldn't be moved. Yu Ming immediately unbuckled his seatbelt and pulled Manir close to him. He declared Manir his. They watched the sunrise over the sea together. Manir wanted to embark on a new journey with her friends. In 2007, the whole group also began their journey through life. Everyone was full of energy, wanting to spend 3 days and 3 nights together. Manir remembered not to get the voice recorder from teacher Fang, but now she doesn't need anyone's guidance anymore. In 2020, the whole group had to return to their daily lives. Yu Mei reminded her boyfriend to call and register. Jingye mustered up the courage to hug Xiaoying goodbye. Yeze wanted to take leave to travel with his girlfriend, but Tianqi decided to stay in Qingdao. Manir waited for Yuming to come out and asked him to give her the car keys, because she wanted to go to the school to visit the old lab. However, the security guard wouldn't let strangers into the school. Yuming had another way. He and Manir climbed the wall, just like they did years ago. After more than 15 years, Manir returned to the lab. She didn't expect the school to still keep the old locker. Yuming remembered that Manir hadn't packed up her locker when they graduated. She wondered how he knew. He told her that if she wanted to know what he'd put in there, she should try to guess. It turned out she'd missed his confession a long time ago. Passing by two other students, Manir guessed they liked each other. She wondered how they became a couple. Yuming recounted that Manir had confessed to him after graduation. She got drunk at a class reunion and shamelessly insisted he be her boyfriend. She also asked where their first date was. He remembered it was at the beach, and she even asked for barbecue. On their first Valentine's Day, they watched Harry Potter and the Half-Prince. But Manir clearly remembered that movie had only been released a few years earlier. Yuming admitted he was a little confused and carelessly misspoke. Manir then asked where they had their first kiss. Knowing he couldn't avoid it, Yuming replied that their first kiss was on the basketball court. She asked him if he dared to pretend to be her boyfriend, because he discovered her contacting him about her past. He was nervous and didn't know how to explain. She unexpectedly kissed him on the cheek. She didn't realize the basketball court was a straight man's fantasy about his first kiss. She asked why he lied about being her boyfriend. He admitted he saw Yu Hao hugging her. If he hesitated any longer, he would surely miss his chance. She praised Yu Hao for being braver than Yuming, because he only knew how to accept her as his girlfriend. Yuming asked Manir what she meant by her kiss. Just then, the teacher discovered two strangers in the school. Teacher Fang happily recognized her two former students. Yuming wondered if Teacher Fang had come to catch the two early lovers. Teacher Fang had already noticed the two often exchanging flirtatious glances in class. At the time, she forbade them from being together, but deep down, she truly hoped they could be together in the future. They revisited the main auditorium. Manir realized that even though they loved each other and shared sweet memories, Yuming had also filled her youth. At 18, she loved arguing, so she hid her true feelings from him. In a letter Yuming wrote at 17, he admitted to being impatient. He couldn't wait 3 minutes for instant noodles to cook, nor could he stand in line for more than 10 minutes. The only thing he'd persevered with until now was liking Manir, so he wished his future self success in winning her heart. After Cassie's clarification, netizens weren't so harsh on Manir anymore. Manager Zhu Li announced a big-budget, historical time travel drama that Manir had been offered a role. However, she decided to choose a youth drama instead, because the current Manir no longer stubbornly strived to prove her fame. After a long day at work, she just needed to see the man she loved on the street. He would smile brightly and come to embrace her. He would give her the sweetest kisses. Manir feared that reality would suddenly change and she would lose Yuming again. Yuming thought that no matter how much time changed, he would still pursue Manir. Yuming's kiss marked the end of their youth together. From now on, they would embark on a journey of love, filled with maturity and peace. But even as time passed, that vibrant youth would forever be worth remembering.